What's up? My name's Joe Keyport, and you're listening to the Ear Coffee Podcast. For today's episode, we are joined by all four members of In Lieu. On February 1st, the band released their follow-up to their debut record, the Edible EP. The band began as a solo project for guitarist and songwriter Nikki Post, and has grown over the years to become a full band project with a host of new additions. During the interview, we dig into the new EP and how it all came together. It's In Lieu, right here on the Ear Coffee Podcast. Before we jump into it, we can let me get some introductions for everybody, just so we have some names to put on the disembodied voices we have coming out of our speakers here today.
I am Nikki. I play rhythm guitar and I sing.
My name is Mono. I do the drums.
I'm Evan. I'm the bass player.
I'm Seth, and I play guitar.
Well, awesome. So let's jumping into it. Let's just start off. We always kind of start off your coffee interviews this way, which is I always like to know people's kind of history individually with music and what kind of made them want to go from, like playing to making music themselves. Was there a moment for you all individually that really just wanted you to make music?
Yeah, I definitely had that moment. When I was really young, my dad was trying to learn guitar, and I remember just singing Silent Night over and over with him, and I just thought that was really cool, and then I picked up guitar shortly after.
For me, to be real, I didn't really think about picking up an instrument until the era of rhythm video games came around, like Guitar Hero and Rock Band. Then I got really interested in picking up an instrument and started playing around high school for me. So, yeah.
And I was in orchestra when I was super young, and my dad was a musician, so I got into it probably when I was about 7, and I've just been going for it, man.
What was your instrument in orchestra?
I played upright bass in orchestra all through, elementary school, middle school, and high school.
Oh, nice.
I guess I just picked it up because of my parents, the same sort of as Nikki. My dad was huge into guitars, so there were just guitars lying around the house all the time, plus the fact that, they both listened to a lot of different records. So it was just always something that interested me. I always found more of an interest in music rather than, other kind of stuff that other people picked up.
Yeah. I always wonder this, for me personally, I know it's kind of hard to ask this broadly at a group of people, so bear with me, but did you become more of a music fan once you started playing music, or were you a music fan first? Because personally, I always had music playing growing up, but I didn't really get into music until I picked up that first guitar or that bass and just figured out that there's a connection beyond just coming out of a radio.
I guess my personal experience, I always found that I had more of a respect for music once I learned to play it. I always loved listening to it, and I always listened to what I thought sounded good, but I have a respect more for how people play it and what people do on their records now that I play it, now that I've picked up an instrument.
Yeah, I won't lie. When I was younger and playing music, it was more of a thing that I felt obliged to do by my parents. So I was not into it at all until I was in high school, and I realized okay, I'm actually halfway decent at this, so why not make it my thing,
Yeah, sorry.
You want more?
Yeah.
I guess for me, I always loved music dearly. I spent so many hours just alone in my room listening to it. I actually started out playing bass, and I used to play along to Coral Fang by the Distillers just all the time. And the longer that I did that, the better connection that I had with music. I thought it was so cool that you could make it. It wasn't just something to listen to, people could actually just make it.
Yeah, I don't know. My parents listened to a lot of music when I was growing up, so I always liked listening and dancing around and stuff. But when I started playing, I guess I just got a new appreciation for how people write and the process that goes behind composing and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, moving on. So In Lieu, talk to me about like the beginnings of the band In Lieu. Nikki, is it been you and is it Mono? You are the foundational members, or how? Because I know you kind of had a bit of a changeover in lineup, kind of middle of last year. So what was that beginning like for the band?
Yeah, sorry, Mono's getting a kick out of the credit. I actually started with like 3 completely different people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was my like solo project name at first. And then I started playing with like a group of 3 guys, and then I just kind of ended up feeling like I needed to pursue it a lot harder, and my other band members were in a lot of other bands, as it tends to happen in the local scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't have enough time, so I was like, okay, I just need to like give them the option to leave. I'm going to strip it back, and they were super cool about it, like just going into it. And I ended up I went to Mono straight away because he shared a space with me and his other band Wanderer, and I'd always really liked his drumming, and I wanted a hardcore drummer because I wanted somebody that could, just like play fast and liked playing fast. And then I went straight to Seth because I'd always just like absolutely adored how he played in Partition, his last band, and they both said yes, and I was super stoked about it. It took a while to find Evan. We went through a few kind of like, just different auditions of different people we'd never met. And Seth happened to be longstanding friends with Evan, and we had one short little practice with him, and we just instantly knew right then after the practice that we were going to ask him. So now it's just the 3 of us, or the 4 of us. Sorry.
Yeah, so it was you. So this is like a completely new lineup. Then this isn't like you've had a couple holdovers and switchovers going on through the years. Then
Yeah, no, all 4 new at the same time.
Okay, so that early release, because you for sure put out, I mean, looking through Bandcamp credits, that first release under In Lieu was released in 2016. So Nikki, was that when it was still kind of your solo thing?
It was just me and the drummer at that point. We actually recorded Failing in the Right Direction, just the 2 of us, and then the band kind of grew from there once we actually had something that was able to kind of be shown to people. We were able to get more people interested in it, and then we found our bassist and second guitarist.
Okay. So then growing through, you had Failing in the Right Direction, and you had, the split with Grandma, and then you had your debut record in 2019. Was it really kind of, as you were moving up through those releases, was that when you kind of realized you wanted this to be more of a full band project as opposed to just being a solo musician?
Definitely.
Okay.
I love the idea that, you find as basically it being kind of like my project. I knew that I wanted to find people that really fit what I was trying to go for, and I like really feel that way now. So it's been super cool to put out this EP with them for like the first time, and just realize how well we worked together and recorded, and we're able to just like come into practice and just like openly talk to each other, like, hey, I like that part, hey, can you put something there? Like we would just like really easily kind of whip together material, and that's how it like really has felt like it's bloomed for me. Like the stuff we're putting out, like after this, we have almost a full album like finished. It's a lot more, and it's more complicated, and it's much harsher in like sound too. So I just feel like we're constantly growing. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. So it's because especially since like I saw the In Lieu's looking for some new band members because you had to part ways, and then suddenly like the pandemic it decided to disrupt everything. So you didn't really have as many things put on hold then. Kind of you were able to keep full steam ahead going from 2020 into now we have the new EP.
Yeah, honestly, the pandemic's terrible, but it has really given us the opportunity to like take this time and really work on the music writing construct of it, kind of like understand how we work together. And like by the time that, shows are coming around again, I feel like it's really gonna feel like we're just an actual band, and like we've been together and we have experience. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. So then so in the past was a lot of In Lieu's material written just you, and then you brought it to the people you were playing with to flesh out, or kind of talk me through that?
Yeah, I guess the writing process for me, when I was like even just like working with my first drummer and my first couple of people and stuff, they were really experienced in the music scene already. So most of the time, I felt like this little kid bringing just like this really like bland drawing into the practice space, and then I was kind of like learning and being kind of pushed to be more confident, write more, and um, yeah, I guess. What was the question? I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I like going on a ramble.
Oh no, you're good. Rambling's a-okay. It's a podcast.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we don't have any time limits here, other than I'd like to go to bed before 10 p.m. No, I was just talking about kind of like your writing process as In Lieu grew from you were writing those first releases where it was more of a solo project, and now you have a group of people that you can say like this is a band now. This isn't just Nikki and some friends, or I mean it still is Nikki and friends, but it's you know what I mean.
Yeah, I used to feel like it was really like just me, and I'd like bring stuff, and I didn't feel like as much of a contribution, but with this lineup, I really wanted to push for that. So I really wanted to find like musicians that I'd trust to ask like, hey, can you put a lead here? Hey, can you put a drum fill here?
Mm-hmm.
And know that they were going to find the perfect thing to put in there. Like I could just trust them.
Gotcha. For Mono, Seth, and Evan, were you all fans of In Lieu kind of leading up to joining the project yourselves?
May I? After going to Paper House so many times in my younger youth, can I curse on the podcast?
Absolutely.
Fuck yes. The amount of times that I remember going to shows and seeing the old lineup and just like having a blast with, I was like 16 at the time and being pushed around by a bunch of like mid-20 college kids in an incredible, like very like just pure emotion, pure raw sort of music scene. It was really fun, and it's just really cool to be a part of that too.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Like every Paper House show that I had been to, In Lieu had been part of a lineup, and definitely like a band that was, the go-to for me.
Nice.
Yeah, for me, Hate Mail was one of my favorite records that year, and probably wouldn't have said yes if any other band asked me, but In Lieu asked me, so I said yeah.
So then, like Nikki was talking about how, moving into was the Edible EP something that was very much everybody was bringing stuff to the table then?
I think in ways it was. With the Edible EP, two of the songs there, Opinion and Kind, were things that, the previous lineup had played, live a few times. But, there's stuff that we added coming on top of that. And Anymore was like the first song that we all four like wrote together from scratch.
Okay. What was it like writing that first song together, since it was, Anymore was that first song you all put together from scratch? Was it weird, or was it like talk to me about that process?
I don't know. It felt very natural to me, at least. We just put together this song that just felt like the perfect transition to go from the old Lieu to the new Lieu, and I don't know. It happened pretty quick, I feel like, and just felt right.
Definitely.
I'd agree on that too. Especially with the fact that it just seems super natural to like go from Hate Mail to what we're writing now, which I definitely myself, having listened to that record a couple of times, I find the major differences in the two. But this EP felt like the perfect transition between where it's older material at first, and then there's a completely new song that we all worked on together, but it just feels like such a natural flow between what was previously out and what might come out in the future.
Gotcha. Well, so those first two songs, which is Opinion and Kind, what were those holdovers from like Hate Mail, or was that music you had written, Nikki, in the interim between the debut and this EP?
It was after that. I had kind of written that. I think we only played Opinion a couple of times, maybe twice. I know one of them we played when we opened for Remo Drive at like the Fine Line. That was like one of kind of more of the debuts of that. And then we had a couple of other songs that we did play, but like this lineup doesn't play because we didn't carry it over because we ended up kind of going a different route with our sound. Our next like full length album that we're planning on is definitely going to have a different sound, but we're like really stoked about it because we have all these like pieces and things that we each like and style of playing that we've kind of added together and made this new mix. So definitely changing.
Gotcha. Well, talk to me about the EP, because like listening through it and then reading through those kind of the super cool those collage lyric sheets. The EP itself feels very focused on one person, and it's the way I kind of describe it in my little notes I took here. It almost feels like it deals with one person who's a shitlord with a fragile ego. Talk to me about that, like, that place you were writing from and what that overarching theme that seemed to me anyway prevail that, unless I'm completely wrong, prevail that EP, which I could be wrong. I have been before.
So, Opinion, the first track, the first track. Sorry, we've changed order so many times. The first track off that record is Opinion, and Opinion I actually wrote, basically, I was thinking about this time that one of my friends and I had gone to the Mall of America, and basically this person came up to us, and we ended up figuring out later was like involved in sex trafficking. And I was just so floored thinking of like what those people go through and how evil like people can be. So I wrote Opinion actually basically about sex trafficking. That's why there's that line, dark web girls. I'm basically talking about that. And I'm also talking about just the fact that like just the way social media can just be kind of toxic and used in very, very poor ways. And it affects society more than like we really think about. So and that song really kind of like makes a lot more sense now than it did when I wrote it, to me, just with everything kind of going on with presidency and all this stuff. So that song was kind of a totally different vibe. Kind was, exactly what you said it was. You nailed it. And then Anymore was actually just kind of a song about self-confidence. And honestly, because that was the first song that we wrote together and I was feeling so confident and safe in like my artistic space because of these people, that I wanted to write a song about just casting that off and just like, saying, fuck it, I might feel this way, but I can make something out of it. I can be productive.
Gotcha. So out of the, the handful of songs you had, what made you land on these three specifically to put out? Because you mentioned there were a couple other songs that you really didn't touch anymore, but like, because they were part of the old set.
Yeah.
So what about these three songs made you land on, wanting to put that out as a release comparatively?
Well, and I think the fact that we had two songs that we knew that we were going to keep because we'd already played them, we already liked them, from my old lineup. And then when we started writing together, we realized how much our sound changed. Like this EP kind of fit together the way that it did. Some of the songs we just like didn't play well together. And that is what happens when you get new people. They were written in different energies almost. So we kind of scrapped some that didn't sit right with us. And then when we got real comfy, like writing with each other and really started getting into new material, we realized how much of a change it was going to be. And we decided to just kind of take these three and put out kind of an almost like a goodbye album to the last sound. And
Okay.
that's why it's called Anymore was the first song that we wrote together, because we were kind of like just tying it up with what's to come.
Okay, gotcha. It was kind of a goodbye to, you know, like a chapter of In Lieu, so you can move on to, you know, what you got coming up.
Precisely, yeah. That's what it felt like.
Gotcha. Well, you recorded this EP back in November, and like looking at the photos you posted on social media, it almost looks like everything was cut live on the floor. Is that correct?
Yeah, we did record live. We recorded at King Creation Studios with Elijah, and his studio is really, really cool. It's this kind of like tricked out garage in this farmhouse. So you're kind of like out in the middle of nowhere. It's very like, it's just a really cool artistic space. He has a really cool house, and like he was really good about, you know, any like COVID related insecurities. He literally like taped off certain areas with like big clear like tarps and stuff so that nobody felt weird being in the space. So he was really cool to work with, like super supportive person.
That's awesome. Have you always found yourself kind of at home in a recording space, or is it always an interesting process for y'all?
Me, absolutely not. I shake the whole day.
That's funny. Yeah,
I felt like,
no, keep going.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I felt like we kind of went in there and, you know, killed it pretty quick with how well, you know, I felt that all of our takes went pretty well. And obviously there were things that we like, you know, went back and fixed, or timing wise, we did a little bit better on. But I thought that, you know, for me, it just felt right to have like the four of us in there.
So one thing that like struck me about the band In Lieu is how few releases, like there's a lot of time between, you know, when a release comes out, which is, you know, sometimes great, and sometimes you're just like, just because you want, you know, more, it feels like, you know, you have less to work with, which gives you more time to focus on each individual release, especially when so many local bands, you know, are churning out, you know, it's either a single, an EP, or an album like every year, every other year. Was the fact that In Lieu was originally a solo project part of the reason why you had I shouldn't say few releases, but like, you know, why everything felt almost not as deliberate, but if you know what I'm saying, I'm mincing my words here right now.
Sure. No. So it's honestly just occurred to me over time that, you know, it's kind of quality over quantity. I have seen like my styles change and stuff, like as I worked with different people and things, and like there's a lot of like growing pains involved. Like I can't listen to like anything we previously put out, but sometimes I can like pop back and like maybe listen to Hate Mail and be like, you know what, that was not the worst record in the world, you're fine. Like
Yeah.
I think the split is the only thing like from previous things that I can go back and listen to and just like still kind of get a twinkle at, but I think that's more nostalgia than anything. But the stuff that we just like put out now, we knew going in that we were going to come in, we were going to stay focused, and we were going to like turn out something that we knew that we liked. And no matter what, I made sure that like I was okay with what we were putting out. While in previous releases, I feel like I just kind of like let things go because I thought it wasn't supposed to be, you know, you weren't supposed to be picky about it. It was just supposed to be this like natural thing. But no, like working at it is so important. So yeah, I guess I want to put out more now because I did kind of experience it recently where I feel like maybe this is like worth a shot taking seriously. It's what I love to do. Why not? You know?
Yeah. Well, especially, you know, something you've put so much, you know, blood, sweat, and tears into up until this point, you know, you seem like you've gotten a group that you, not to like discredit anyone you've worked with in the past, but like the way you talked about the group of people you're working with now, it seems like the confidence in what you're doing now feels different than what it was in the past.
Oh, absolutely. That was a huge part of it. And, you know, it's strange because I feel like before, it was very like a band-centered relationship with my last lineup, but with these guys, like, I mean, when we first started like working together, we were stoked. We celebrate each other's birthdays. We got each other like expensive gifts. We had steak dinners together.
Oh,
Like
hell yeah.
like we were like spending time together. Like I feel like these people are my friends. And that makes a big difference with like your confidence and your ability to like actually, say what you want to say. If you don't like a part, if you want to add a part, we can just like kind of throw shit at each other and don't take it personally.
Yeah. Well, kind of moving on here. We're coming into kind of the last few questions of this interview here tonight. What's the band's plans here coming up for the future? Were you hinting at potentially doing some physical merch coming up?
So we have kind of been like working our butts off with this, and I'm very proud about it. But basically in the future, there's going to be this fancy bundle that we have that's going to come with like, we designed a t-shirt and got that printed, but the rest of it is completely like DIY. So we got these really nice like vinyl CDs. They play like a normal CD, but they're called vinyl CDs. They look really cool. We burned our own music on it, and then we took cases and we designed all of the cases. I took Shrinkies, those like shrinky things, and I made like a billion keychains out of them that are like all different.
Oh, nice.
So I handmade these. We have stickers, we have buttons. We're just gonna put like a ton of stuff in a bundle and just charge like $25 for it, and then it comes with the shirt and the music, and it'll actually come with prints of those lyric sheets that so they'll come with that. And yeah, so we just want to do like a big bundle for it and just have a bunch of stuff we can give people that just like feels a little bit more personal.
Yeah. Do you work with, because earlier today you linked a bunch of people you worked with, which was like, it was a Killian Freyer?
Yeah, I think their name's Killian Northcutt, but their artist page says Killian Frere.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So did you work with, they do some of that stuff? I mean, you said DIY.
So they're actually a person. I, for some reason on Facebook, just decided I didn't like know enough people. So I just started rando adding people this one time. I just did like 10 people, and they had done that drawing that we ended up using and just like posted it on their Facebook wall. And I saw it, and it just really stuck out to me. I showed it to the guys, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And I reached out and like bought the print from them and told them I was in a band and just wanted to use their stuff, and they were super cool about it, super open. They were like, "Yeah, of course you can, just tag my art page so I can get some people to come over." And I'm super happy to do that, support local art. But yeah, so it was just kind of this completely random thing that we came across that we ended up using. It was kind of cool.
Nice. Do you have any, on top of the merch bundles will either have come out or be coming out as of, people listening to this? Do you have any plans for live streams or some way to try and, do the live music thing in the age of COVID?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about trying to do like a live video session. Right now it seems more like ideas, but after like the release of this EP, we're kind of trying to get more serious about it and figure out more ways to actually turn those ideas into actions.
Gotcha. Well, then, final couple questions here. What have you all been listening to keep yourself occupied, during the pandemic? Have you been, who are some bands you wanted to shout out that you've been listening to over the last few months?
Big shout out to Miles Davis. On the Corner has been a bane during COVID.
Nice.
For me, a lot of Haley Williams. Always love my Haley Williams. And Audio Slave has really been pumping it for me lately too.
Rest in peace, Chris Cornell.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
I've just been listening to a lot of Wilco lately, Trampled by Turtles, more bluegrass stuff that like I normally wouldn't listen to. That's just kind of like outside of my
Giant
scope.
Clark has been such
So good.
I think I've just been rotating around like Met's Soundgarden. Just like I've been trying to listen to more grungy music because that's what I'm trying to write, and I just feel like maybe I can get myself in the zone a little bit better. But it's cool because I feel like there's a lot of music that I didn't grow up with that I missed, like a lot of Soundgarden songs that I didn't know, and just going back through that is kind of cool. I'm just trying to like comb through some old stuff.
Can't forget Tool.
Yes.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Did Mets put out a new record recently, didn't they?
Oh, they sure did.
That's the one I've been meaning to listen to it. I love Mets. They're like my
Me
band in
too,
college.
it's so good.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of it for me here today. Where can people connect with In Lieu online so they can, listen to your music and kind of find more?
Facebook. We don't have an Instagram, but I have an Instagram, and everybody seems to think that it is the band's Instagram, so that's fine. Really, wherever. We're open people. You can hit us up anywhere.
Gotcha.
Actually, message me on my Instagram. I'm lonely.
Spotify, Bandcamp.
Legitimately, you can find it on Napster. Hashtag fuck Lars Ulrich, Napster forever.
Yeah.
Well, Nikki, Mono, Seth, and Evan, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me here this evening.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
The Ear Coffee Podcast is a companion to the blog of the same name. If you like this episode, please leave us a rate and review so we can stand out among the other music podcasts. You can follow us at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @Ear Coffee. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.